Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson. Hope you guys are having a great day. It was a pretty good weekend. We had a baseball sweep, and we lost a basketball game that we could ill afford to. Now, all is not lost by any stretch of the imagination. We got the SEC tournament here, and the latest projections suggest that with a win against LSU, we're in the dance. Now, I feel like all of you. You just get us in, we'll figure it out. And this is a team, obviously, when we played our full potential, can play with anybody in the country. And depending on how the bracket falls, I could definitely see us getting out of the first week in the tournament, which is something we have not done in forever. You lose that game against LSU, you still may be in a play-in game. I want to avoid that. I really do. I want to avoid that. Let's just take care of LSU. Hey, let's go win a couple of these games. Who knows, right? But it does appear that with one more win, Mississippi State is in the field and not in the play-in game. That's how we feel. Now, it was a heartbreaking game. We're going to talk about it a little bit later in the show. It was tough, man. It really was. And really wanted to win that one. I expected us to win it. I know that there were a lot of people that kind of shared my same level of exuberance. I really thought being at home against a South Carolina team that in many respects is kind of our equal, even though they've had the better year, thought we'd win the game. We didn't. Shout out to Mississippi State softball for taking 2 out of 3 from Ole Miss. We're a swing away from sweeping the whole series. But what a great start to the year. And that was the thing. Every year we talk about this in every sport. Well, let's see what we do. We get in conference play. Now, this isn't a great Ole Miss team. But any time that we beat them, it doesn't matter if it's football, baseball, basketball, Chinese checkers, tiddlywinks, whatever. It's something worth celebrating. So congratulations for beating the Rebels again, to Coach Samantha Ricketts and everybody involved with Mississippi State softball. Very, very excited. And how many times do we go through this, right? You have the bad year, and it's like, well, they're going to rebound, and then they don't, and then we end up having a coaching change. I'm not speaking specifically about softball, but just kind of the Mississippi State experience. It's like, hey, we have the highest of highs, and then things kind of start turning in the wrong direction. We ultimately end up making a coaching change. You don't see a lot of coaches just kind of turn it around, with rare exception. Dan Mullen, of course, I would say, after the 2013 season, there were, the bloom was off the rose in many respects. We've done some cool things, and it's like, well, 2012 was kind of underwhelming. 2013, you were 4-6 and have to win the final 2, and Nico Whittley, of course, saves the day at both Arkansas and here against Ole Miss. And we go to the bowl game, and Dak's healthy, and what do you know? We go out there and just destroy Rice. In 2014, we're the number 1 team in the country for a while. It's a rarity. John Cohen, 2015, terrible year, right? 2013, we played for a national championship. In 14, we get bounced out of the regional at Louisiana Lafayette. In 15, we were the worst team in the conference. A lot of people thought we're turning in the wrong direction. We're not going to turn this thing around. What do we do in 16? We win the Southeastern Conference Championship and become a top 8 national seed for the first time in school history. And now, I'm not going to sit here and say that Coach Ricketts and the softball team are going to end up being a top 8 national seed or that they're going to go to number 1 in the country. But it is clear that the ship has been righted and that last year was really more of the anomaly. We're back to playing at a high level. Got a lot of softball left to be played, for sure. But I think it's safe to say we're headed in the right direction. Before we get into our baseball recap, let's congratulate 3 Bulldogs from the hardwood. I guess 4. Jessica Carter wins the Gillum Award. Josh Hubbard wins the Howell Award. So Mississippi State sweeps those awards. That's always great. That's always great. And then when you look at the men's all-SEC teams, Bulldogs are well represented there as well. Tolu Smith, all-SEC first team. Second straight year he's done that, and people forget. He missed most of the non-conference. Outstanding. Josh Hubbard, all-SEC second team, and made the all-SEC freshman team. And then Cam Matthews, one of 5 players chosen on the all-SEC defensive team. All very well-deserved honors. And again, I just want to get in the dance. Just get me in, and we'll figure it out from there. I think Chris Jan's I had a chance to watch. We were covering baseball when they were going to postgame against South Carolina. Watching that postgame was gut-wrenching. It really was. And I think it shows, too, how much Chris Jans cares about this program, this team, and these players. You could just simply tell in his body language how devastating that loss was for him. But again, all is not lost. We certainly want to win the game. Every competitor does. But it's nice to see some of our players be recognized by the league. And again, we've got a good basketball team. We do. And I know what the last 2 weeks have looked like. We talked about going to the Final Four games. We needed to find a way if we could get a split, worst case scenario, win one. And we really felt like we could get A&M at their place. We didn't. Thought we could get South Carolina here. We didn't. And so we finished 0-4. So again, we've got to go out there and do some things. But you look at the totality of the season. Of course, you want to play well in your last 10 games. But you're looking at the totality of the season as you kind of move forward. So it'd be nice for us to get another win. Certainly, or two, right? I'm looking forward to the tournament. I know you guys are as well. More on basketball a little bit later. Hey, let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company, longtime sponsors of this show. I love Bulldog Burger Company, and they love me. And we both love you. That's right. It's a love-in, right? It is. So be sure and go by there and check them out next time that you're in their neighborhood. 3 great locations to serve you. University Drive here in Start Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowwood area. You know as well as I do, it's your kids' favorite dining destination. It truly is. So let the kids have their way, and maybe if you're not feeling a burger, have that BLT salad. I like it grilled. You may like it fried. I'm not judging, but no matter how you get it, I recommend the ranch dressing. Just my upbringing in South Mississippi there. Have the spring rolls as your appetizer. They'll make you and everybody around you better looking. But the reason you go there is for that great restaurant quality hamburger. And it's one of the few delicacies in life we truly afford ourselves. You say, but Steve, I can get a hamburger anywhere. No, you can't. Not of this quality. There's a reason that Bulldog Burger Company has become the undisputed king in this neck of the woods when it comes to hamburgers. Go by, have the Bulldog. Like if you're a first-time diner at Bulldog Burger Company, get the Bulldog, okay? I'm just telling you, get the Bulldog. Don't stray too far off the path in the beginning. Get the Bulldog. And that in and of itself will keep you coming back. However, you need to find your own favorites, whether that be the Bryant, the Mission, the Good Morning Burger, the Freshman 15. So many great options to choose from. They keep that menu in rotation. They'll add some things every now and again. My favorite addition to the menu in the last year has been that Mississippi barbecue burger. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. When you're done with your meal, maybe order that shake to go so you can ride that ride home with a smile. Maybe get some dessert to go. I'm a big advocate of that. I like a palate cleanser. You get home thinking, man, I wish I had something sweet. Well, rather than go in there and grab a little Debbie's cake, sir, go ahead and bring that bread pudding home, that Shipley's bread pudding. And even if you don't eat it for dinner, perhaps you can have it for breakfast. I'm not your dietitian here. I'm just trying to tell you how to enjoy life. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet, M-E-A-T. All right, I said last week we needed a 4-0 week. I said this past week we needed a 4-0 week. We got them both. Bulldogs have now won 9 in a row. That's longer than any winning streak last year. And it is the longest winning streak for Bulldog baseball since 2021 when State had 2 9-game winning streaks. So we're tied for the longest winning streak the last few years, but you'd have to go back to 2019, Chris Lemonis' first year at Mississippi State, to find a longer winning streak. And we won 14 in a row then. Now, in order for us to match that and potentially eclipse that, we're going to have to sweep LSU. I'm not going to call for that. Just going to tell you that right here and there. We'll preview that series. We'll get a little bit closer. We will take a longer look at South Alabama today, and I will be leaving for Biloxi in the morning. So excited for all of you that are going to be down there. I've shared many times on this show when I was a young kid, it was so difficult for us to get to Starkville. And so we had to go watch them in Jackson when they'd come through, and it was such a big deal to go. And I love the fact that not only are we playing the games in Pearl, but we're doing some in Biloxi every single year. And you're kind of giving away home games, right? You're playing a home game on a neutral field within our home state. So it's going to be a very partisan crowd. But not going to complain too much, but our crowds this weekend weren't very good, despite the fact that we're winning. And I know the rain had a little something to do with that. A lot of people, Friday, people wonder if we were even going to play. We did play. By the time first pitch got there, we were good. Hey, we didn't do in and out. We didn't do BP. We just wanted to go play a baseball game. And we wanted to be able to kind of keep our guys on their regular rest schedule. So let's just kind of jump in here real quickly. And we'll start with the Friday game that State won 5-2. And listen, it was a competitive game a little bit. But it wasn't a deal where I really felt like Evansville ever at any point in this game or the weekend really had any sense of control. I thought we controlled the game throughout. And it all gets underway in the third inning with Dakota Jordan, who is your co-SEC player of the week. You probably all could have called that. The guy homered in 4 straight games last week. Kind of got him going a little bit. I remember reading some social media commentary. You guys are so great at that. It's true. I get quite a chuckle from it. I really do. A lot of people are like, oh, Dakota Jordan's not even helping us. Yeah. It takes a little while to get going, and now he's going, and really in a good place right now as we get ready to head into SEC play this weekend. But DJ with that 3 shot, right? All of a sudden it's 3-0. And with Nate Dome on the hill, more times than not, that in and of itself is going to hold up. 3. So we get a 3 spot, and they come around in the 4th. It was kind of a crazy deal there in the top of 4. You know, and it seems like Nate kind of has one of these innings where like something doesn't go right for him. Kind of unbeknownst to him, not his fault. But if you look, there's always that one inning where something kind of silly happens, and this is it here. Nolan Stevens is playing right field for us. If DJ was in right, this ball probably gets caught. And I'm not being critical of Nolan Stevens. This is a guy that's learning to play the outfield. But he gets kind of turned around back there, and it ends up being a triple off the right field wall. And again, well-struck ball. With DJ out there, it's just a long out, right? So again, Nolan Stevens doing the best he can, and this is a guy also that didn't participate in the fall because of the hamate bone operation, but a guy that's really going to be able to help us. And so it's just one of those things that happens, right? But give Nate a lot of credit here. You know, he gets a strikeout swinging, and then it's a fly out to left. And what's interesting about that too is I thought we even had a play there. But the throw home was not on target. It was not a competitive throw. And then we get Talbot to ground out to first base unassisted. So it took, even though it wasn't an error, it kind of took a misplay by us for them to really get to Nate. And then he mitigates the damage and holds them just 1 run in the inning. And the thing that I've noticed about Nate, when guys get on base, he really bears down. He really does. Now, he's a guy that's content at times to let the defense play and, try to get under barrels and get balls beaten to the ground. But he kind of puts the mantle of winning on his own shoulders. Like when guys get on, he is like, I am not letting this guy score. And you kind of saw that here. Even though we give it up after a leadoff triple, you give up the 1 run. You never at any point felt like Nate that was shaky in any stretch of the imagination. Well, we go right back and get that run back and then some. And this is what good teams do. And I want to go ahead and maybe mention the possibility of something to you that maybe you haven't considered. Maybe Mississippi State's good at baseball. Maybe. Are you there yet? I told you guys beginning of the year I was optimistic about this team. Before I was cautiously optimistic. After going through the fall, I was optimistic about this team because you could see the leaps and bounds the pitchers were growing by. And so, provided we stay healthy, I fully expect us to be an NCAA tournament team. Now, even though we're 9 games into this winning streak, there are some people that are white-knuckling their grip on their narrative. And it's a tough thing to watch. It really is. Because some of those people are my friends. And it's like we forecasted failure for so long. It's like we're so afraid to even open our eyes to the possibility that we may have been wrong. And if you don't think this is a better team than last year's, you just don't want to see it. Now, we hadn't got an SEC play, and that's the big caveat right now from all of those that, that wanted us to make a coaching change the first Saturday of the season after we lose the Air Force. And all these people are like, oh, do you think we're going to fire Lamonis this weekend? Do you think Zach Selman's going to make a move? No, and that's not guessing. But now all of a sudden we've won 9 in a row, so it's like, is it okay to believe? And I'm going to tell you now, it's okay to believe. Do I think this is going to be an SEC tournament team? Yes. Do I think it's going to be an SEC championship team? No. But it's a step back in the right direction. And there's a young nucleus of players that we feel really good about, obviously. Some guys that have returned we feel good about, and I believe we've done some pretty good things in the portal. It's just like it's so interesting that we have the After Carson Ligon had the very, very, very bad start against Southern Miss, all of a sudden they're like, hey, we don't know what we're doing with the portal. And it's like, oh, we forget about Cal Steven. We forget about Nate Dome. And then Nate's been with us for a year now. So it's like, let's don't pick and choose, the items of evidence that we believe support our narrative. And so I just kind of share that because I think it's, number one, life is hard enough as it is. And sports are supposed to be enjoyable. And we have not had a lot of enjoyable baseball the last 2 years. We haven't. Last year, an absolute abysmal year in every aspect. We couldn't play defense. We couldn't pitch. We walked everybody, a lot of hit by pitches. Offensively, we were good, and we had to even be competitive because of the fact that we were going to really struggle. With rare exception, we struggled on the mound. Nate was really good last year on the mound. Cade Smith, really good on the mound last year, too. But if it ever got in the bullpen and Nate wasn't the guy coming out of the doors out there, it was going to be an adventure. And it was. So I get the skepticism. But now that you have seen the team on the field, it's like, why are we still holding our breath? Why are we making our own selves miserable? And you can see on the message boards and social media, a lot of the noise has calmed down. A lot of things have quieted down a little bit. There's still a few holdouts, though. They're just dying to say, I told you so. And I think there's a part of them. They're hoping that we get destroyed by LSU just so they can say, see, I was right. I'm just not going to go through life that way. I'm not. And I believe in this team. I think the coaching staff has taken the steps necessary to correct the issue. And again, provided we stay healthy, I have no doubt in my mind that we're going to be an NCAA regional team. That's how I feel today. I may feel differently 2 weeks from now. But as it stands today, I fully expect us to be an NCAA regional team. I don't expect us to host. I think we'll be on the road somewhere as a 2. And I don't think anybody's going to want to see us show up as a 2. So we'll see. And I've seen some people out there, it's Omaha or bust. So I'm glad you're not making that decision. All right, bottom of 4, we get right back to it. Long is hit by the pitch, and it's on a 1-2 count. And you got to hate that. It's the pitching coach from Evansville. You're thinking, oh, my gosh, right? Yeah, it's a 1-2 count, and you plunk him. Right after you kind of climb back into the ball game. Now, instead of it being a 3-0 game, you finally get on the board. It's 3-1. And you plunk a guy and put the leadoff guy on. And the Dylan Cup, one of the only at-bats on the weekend, I look back and say, made a mistake here. We're trying to get him to lay a sag bunt down, and he's done that 4 times this year. And he pops it up right to the pitcher. And it's just bad technique. It is. And as a guy that coached bunting extensively in the high school ranks, I can tell you, you start high and come low. And when you start and the ball is above the bat, you leave it alone. You take it, even if it's for a strike. You don't bunt it. Because pitchers have been trained when they know a bunt's coming to throw it high because they know you're going to bounce it right back to them. And you may pop it up. That's exactly what happens here. And Dylan's better for the opportunity. He was. Well, it turns out that doesn't really hurt us because Long, our catcher, ends up stealing second. Pretty significant. Then they walk Amani. And Amani has had a rough stretch here as of late. He was red hot for a while. And not everybody stays hot the whole time. But a really good at bat here by Armani, instantly being a walk here. Mershon, a rare strikeout for him. And we need the 2-out base hit here. And then Dakota Jordan singles in the right. Run scores. And then Hunter Hines singles down the third baseline, beats the shift here. Another run scores. So not only do you get to run back, you tack on. It's a 5-1 game after 4. And Nate's just cruising along here, right? And you get to the 5th, things are great. You get to the 6th, things are great. And, it's one of these things, too. You get in the 6th here, and you feel like, hey, when do we need to think about making a change here? And now, typically what happens in the last weekend before you pull a guy, before you get an SEC play, you're in a situation where you want to be able to stretch guys out a little bit, right? Because when you get in an SEC play, you're going to routinely throw around 100 pitches, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But you start with a pitch count early when the weather's really cold, and you ramp it up each week. And so typically this weekend is the weekend that everybody kind of stretches guys out. They don't always work that way, but that's typically how things work. And so we're going to let him work. And plus, Nate was dominating. He looked good. Fastball was still popping in there, 92, 93. And so, next thing you know, they get into the 7th here, and you can see that maybe he's not 100%, but he's still rolling. He gets Rumsey to strike out, and then Talbert doubles to right center, and the trainers go out to see about Nate. And here's what I can tell you. I'm told he's not out for the year. Now, do I expect him to pitch against LSU on Friday? I can't tell you that yet. I can't. I think you got to be smart with this. But there's something happened, right? And so even if it's not a serious thing, I mean, you've got some discomfort there in the pitching arm. You got to be careful with that. The first SEC series of the year. And so, could I see a scenario where he doesn't pitch this weekend? Yes. Could I see a scenario where he comes out there and pitches and maybe they have him on a pitch count? Absolutely. I could also see a scenario where Nate just comes back out there with a Superman cape on and just absolutely shoves against LSU, and he's perfectly fine. And so immediately when these things happen, we all fear the worst. Not just our negative fans, our self-loathing fans. We all see that because you hate to see that. We've seen it a billion times. I've seen it a bunch of times too, where a guy has a little bit of discomfort on the mound and comes back and never misses a start. And so I just share that with you because, again, don't let the doomsday narrative get to you. People think there's some black cloud over us and nothing ever good happens for us. It's not true. But yeah, so we'll monitor the Nate Dom situation. By the time we get into Friday, we'll know. If I'm Chris Lemonis, I'm not going to say anything until Thursday. Until I have to turn it into the league, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it go. He didn't have a media appearance until after the ball game on Tuesday, and I'm sure somebody's going to ask him. Most of our media will be in Nashville getting ready for the SEC tournament, so it'll be a limited group down there. But I'm sure at some point somebody will ask him. But as a guy that's been around baseball, I understand. Maybe if he's feeling up to it, you give him a bullpen, see how he feels, and go. But you don't want to push him right back out there if he's not ready to go. But again, I think it's important to understand, based on what we know at this point, he's not out for the season, okay? And that's, again, immediately that happened, everybody, including myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, no, not Nate, right? So let's all relax. We'll let the doctors do their job, and we'll see what happens. And again, I think it's probably no matter the situation, there'll be some soreness. It could be a situation where maybe you're moving back this week or you don't pitch him this week. You have to be open for all the possibilities. And maybe a little mystery never hurt anybody, right? All right, so they pinch hit, and then we bring in Cole Cheatham, and he walks Wagner, and then we bring in Gavin Black. And Gavin's a guy, too. It's interesting. Gavin's almost kind of got the Peyton Plumlee thing, right? Like Peyton Plumlee couldn't really settle down until he left the ball up and somebody hammered it. You kind of get the sense that Black's like that, too. Until he gets hit, there's just some interesting things with him. And I think he's a very, very talented guy. We signed him late out of junior college. He was the guy that went to a showcase and just lit it up. Next thing you know, he's here and has become a piece for us. But Black comes in and he hits the leadoff hitter Schallenberger. We give up an infield hit and run scores, and then we get Sherry to strike out. And we bring in Luke Dotson for the lefty-lefty matchup against McInnes, who is a really good hitter from Evansville. And we get the punch out there and navigate through that without any further damage, makes it 5-2. And again, even with Nate out of the ballgame, I didn't feel like we were in trouble by any stretch. We bring in Tyson Harden to open the eighth. And Tyson's been better this year. This wasn't one of his better appearances, even though he didn't surrender a run. I thought that he was having trouble. And sometimes when umpires like this, I just didn't think we could get on the same page. Because he's a guy, too, that needs that low strike. We need that, maybe a half ball below the knees. We need that because he's a guy with sinking action. You also need a veteran catcher back there that can kind of get that in an upward trajectory, right? You don't want to be dipping with the ball. So when you've got that slider action, good sinking action on the fastball, you got to have a catcher that can stick it and frame it up low in the zone. As I think Long is a great match for him. Not that Joe Powell's not. I just know that in this situation, Johnny Long's behind the plate. But Harden comes in. We get a fly out to right. Nearly gave up a tank right there. That guy yanked that ball down the right left field line, and we're able to get him out. And then we give up a double, then a single. So there's runners on the corners, and runner takes second on a pass ball, and then we get a fly out to center, and it's so short they hold the runner. So fly ball outs here, and you don't see a lot of that from sinker ball pitchers, right? More times than not, when you've got a guy that's relying on a sinker, they're beating the ball in the ground. And again, this kind of tells me that maybe Tyson didn't have his best stuff, but he's able to navigate through this inning without surrendering the run, without perhaps having plus stuff. he gets Howard to ground out right back to him. And so we get out of it. It's a little bit of a shaky outing there, but we don't give out any runs here. But again, you typically don't see a lot of fly balls against sinker pitchers. It just doesn't work that way. It's physics, kids. It is. All right, so bottom of the eighth, we got a chance here to really tack it on here. Larry grounds out, and then Mershon doubles down the third base line. This kid's doing such a great job working the full expanses of the field. How many times have you seen him in the left-hand batter's box take that ball the other way and just knock it between the third baseman and the bag for a double? He's so fleet of foot, he doesn't need a lot of room. And so he's done that multiple times. He does it here. They walk DJ to get the Hines. And at some point, Hunter's got to start taking this personal. Yeah. And Hunter singles to right field on the very first pitch. And now all of a sudden the bases are loaded, and then Bryce Chance grounds into the double play. So a chance for us to really break it open and add some important insurance runs there. We don't. But we bring in Brooks Auger, who has been really, really good for us. Auger comes in. We get a line out to second. Really nice sliding catch here. Lengthy at bat. And I've noticed this thing about Brooks. It's like the very first guy that comes up, because the first out in the ninth inning is always the most important. When you walk the leadoff hitter in the ninth inning, you're going to lose 676,000% of the time. It's true. And it always seems like when that first guy reaches, that there's drama. Just kind of how it always feels, right? But when you get the first guy, it always seems like things just kind of flow in the right direction. And so lengthy at bat here, but it's a liner toward right field, and Dave Mershon makes a sliding grab there for the first out. Then you give up a single, which makes that defensive play all the more important. If of course, every out changes the complexity of the next at bat. But if Mershon doesn't make that sliding catch there, then all of a sudden you got runners on the corners probably with the heart of the order coming up. We get Sherry to fly out here to right, and McGinnis grounds out to third, and that's your ball game. That's your ballgame. State puts the first one in the books, and we had 11 hits. They had 11 hits, and that was all the talk, coming in, is how great they've been offensively. They got some guys that can swing it, and they're hunting the fastballs. I thought Nate did a really good job working the off-speed in there, kind of making some things happen. But, we scatter 11 hits here and only give up 2 runs. We were a little more efficient with ours. We scored 5 on 11. But looking back again at another great performance by Nate Dome. He's now 3-0 in the year, goes 6 in the third innings, allows 7 hits, 2 runs, both earned, a walk, 10 strikeouts, goes 101 pitches. And to social media stuff, when Nate was on the mound and trainers were out there, people were like, oh, he threw 115 pitches. It's like, come on, do 101. That's not atypical this time of year. And it's never one pitch that gets you. That's what people don't understand about these UCL injuries. It's never one pitch. It's a collective. It takes time. It's overuse, and we have not overused, and they don't. But Bulldog bullpen comes in, allows 4 hits on the night, and no runs. That's always nice to see, right? That ERA for the bullpen continuing to drop there. A couple strikeouts, and just the 1 walk, and that was from Cole Cheatham. But Bulldogs do a nice job here. And what's interesting, too, to look at, we talk about all the hits. We threw 160 pitches. They threw 139. Of course, we didn't bat in the ninth inning. But after we got Nick Smith out of the ballgame, we didn't do a whole lot. We kind of put ourselves in we had a couple situations to blow it open and couldn't get the big hit there. Shane Harris comes in for them, goes 4 innings and allows 4 hits and a couple walks, but no runs. And a lot of that is on us. Give him some credit for making the pitches. But there were so many times that we had a chance to break this thing open late, and we didn't. All right, so we get to game number 2. Bulldog fans, rodeo season is here. That's right, the Dixie National Rodeo. Get ready to roll, man. And I remember being a kid, that was like the biggest highlight for us. My grandmother would get us tickets every year, and me and my brother would wear our cowboy outfits. We'd put our boots on, have our chaps, our vest, and we go up there, and just in case one of the cowboys got a little bit scared to get on a horse or a bull, we were willing to do it. Yeah, for sure. Guys, boots aren't just for going out to a country western bar and doing a little boot scooting. Maybe you got a little Texas two-step in your game. Tecovas can make you look better than ever. Absolutely. And here's the deal, too. That's the thing, the versatility of Tecovas is you can wear them somewhere nice, or You can live life where you don't go gently. That's what Tecovas does for you. Yeah, it's a rugged, handsome boot. It's my favorite boot brand, and it should be yours too. Be sure and check them out. Tecovas believes in Western for all people, and you can feel that when you go into their stores. When you walk in, you'll be greeted like family, offered a boot shine and a drink, and maybe even an adult beverage if you prefer, and you can get custom fitted for a new pair of Tecovas boots. You can get custom leather stamping or branding, whatever you need to make it feel somewhat individual. Look up your closest store at tecovas.com. But if you can't make it to a store, Tecovas delivers the most premium quality and most comfortable Western goods right to your door. Visit tecovas.com. That's TECOVAS.com. And you know what, partner? Point your toes west. Today's podcast is brought to you by NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. What's the best way to help you and your finances thrive? The answer can be overwhelming with all the financial misinformation out there. Fortunately, you can turn to NerdWallet's objective finance journalists to set things straight and help you make smart decisions with your own money. The nerds have helped me get smarter about things like planning for my tax bill so I don't dread April every single year, managing finances with a partner without causing a breakup, putting away more money for retirement since I'm not going to do this podcast forever. Sorry, folks. And also boosting my credit score since good credit is like a real-life cheat code. Saving for an emergency fund because life is like a good movie. It loves a good plot twist. The nerds also explain the real impact that the latest financial headlines could have on your life. Weekly financial check-ins with Smart Money help you spend more time doing what matters and less time worrying about what doesn't. Let NerdWallet's trusted experts untangle today's web of financial misinformation. Listen to the NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast on your favorite podcast app. Future you will thank you. And Cal Steven back on the bump against the veteran Donovan Schultz. He knows nothing. Some of you will need that reference explained to you. But, we get going there in the second inning. And the thing that I always look at here is like, the difference between good teams and great teams, right? It's really two factors. Good teams have a couple of good starters, and good teams have a couple of good hitters. Great teams have three good starters, and they find a way to get production from the bottom third of their order. Well, that's exactly what's happened here over the weekend. We talk about how quick it all went. Cal Steven goes 1-2-3 in the first, 1-2-3 in the second. You begin to think to yourself, goodness, are we on the verge of a no-hitter here? But bottom of second, State finally gets across here. I say finally. I mean, we get an early lead here. Downs walks, and then Kohler singles to the left side. So you got runners at first and second. And are you thinking bunt here? Because I was thinking, you know what, I might bunt here. I might, to put two guys in a scoring position, give me a chance to get an early lead. And instead, we swing away here. And Hyzak responds with a single back up the middle. The run scores. And then Joe Powell nearly hits a tank himself. It's a fly out to left, and it's a RBI sac fly. So it's 2-0 there. We get to the third, and with 2 outs in the third, Evansville gets their first hit. It's a double down the line. And we end up getting a walk there, but get out of it pretty quick with the Witter fly out. But, Hines finally gets home run number 1. He said he wasn't worried about it. We all know better. And you could tell the way he celebrated, right? And it wasn't one of his normal, like, Dave Kingman-esque type majestic home runs that clears the ballpark fence by 50 feet. I won't call it a wall scraper, but it was a line shot that barely got out. But Hines finally gets it. Glad to see that it happened for him on 0-1 count. Solo shot to right makes it a 3-0 ball game. Nothing doing for State the rest of that inning. And Steven just continues to roll here. Kind of pitches around a 2-out walk here in the fourth. Our bottom of 4, State tacks on a little bit more there. Hyzak reaches on a fielding error. And then goes to second as things get a little bit dicey. Powell then flies out to right. Hyzak takes third. And then the young kid, Dylan Cupp, doubles down the left field line. 2-out base hitting. A big, big, big thing for this weekend. How many times do we see it? Especially on Sunday. But double down the left field line, run scores, makes it 4-0. Top of 5, Steven just still cruising 1-2-3 inning there. And then in the fifth, State again continues to tack on. David Mershon with a leadoff double, and then Jordan with a 2-run shot there. State had some opportunities late, did get a single from Aaron Downs, but couldn't push anything else across there. So it's 6-0. And Steven's still out there shoving 1, 2, 3 inning there in the 6th. And it wasn't like he was just striking people out left and right. He's letting the defense work. Tons of flyouts, routine flyouts. That's what I know he's on his game. All right, bottom of 6th, State tacks on 2 more. Cup walks, takes second, and then Marshawn walks, and then DJ Jordan comes up with 2 outs. Again, 2 out hitting and doubles, and he takes third on the error, and the other 2 guys score. It's an 8-0 ball game now, headed to 7. We bring in Evan Sierra in place of Cal Steven, and again, Steven was outstanding. And Sierra gives up a 1-out single, but gets out of that. No harm done there. Bottom of 7. Not much going for State here. 1, 2, 3 inning. Top of 8. We bring in Holcomb. Now, the first thing I'm going to tell you here, we're going to be kind to Colby Holcomb because he's one of ours. Number 2, Colby Holcomb was a guy last year pitching big innings for Mississippi State. We got to figure it out. And every time he trots out there, I see it on social media. And it's really not fair to the kid. And listen, here's the thing, too. Just like with Eric Tarantola, there's a lot of kids out there that are great kids, got a lot of talent, and may have to figure it out in the minors. But I'm not ready to give up on Colby Holcomb. I know many of you are. But this is a great situation here. 8-0 ball game. Let's bring him in, see what he can do here. And he gets basically, a single off the pitcher. That's the thing I think about, too. When you've got a guy that is struggling a little bit, too, you need something good to happen. And if Colby doesn't get this ball with his glove, Marshawn's going to make a play. And that's just Colby trying to make a play. Nothing wrong with what he did. Little high chopper just back over the mound, just kind of goes off his glove and falls into no man's land, so it's a single. And I begin to ask myself, what happens if that play is made, right? If it's 6 inches, a little bit shorter, and Colby gets it and throws the guy at first, or 6 inches higher, and Marshawn gets it. But something like that happens, and you start beginning to think maybe you're snake bit, right? And then we give up a 2-run home run. It's 8-2. We get a fly out to left, and then it's another home run. And then there's groaning in the crowd. And I get it because we all love Mississippi State baseball. But again, Colby Holcomb is one of our own. He gets Sherry to pop up. We get a walk, and we get out of it. And I don't think you're going to see Colby Holcomb pitch on the weekends for a while, right? I think you've got to figure this thing out in the bullpen. And according to Limonos, he's had some really good bullpens. He's got to figure out a way to go from the bullpen to the field. Kid's got a lot of talent, got a big arm. We got to figure it out. He can be a piece for us down the stretch. All right, bottom of 8. We go 1-2, but then we bring Spalletta in and let him pinch hit, and he just rifles the first pitch in the right field for a single. So congratulations to Steven Spalletta and his family, his first collegiate hit, and certainly first one at Mississippi State. We couldn't do anything with it. With top of 9, we bring in Logan Forsythe, who I thought was really good. We get a strikeout looking, strikeout swinging, and then we walk a guy. Extended it bad here, and I really thought we had him struck out at one point. He takes second. We credit this with a stolen base, and I'm going to say this right now as a former catcher. I don't agree with this. The reason they put the defensive indifference in was for situations like this. Guys, it's 8-3 with 2 outs in the 9th. We're not even holding the runner. We're not going to throw down, and we credit him with a stolen base. I don't agree with it. Really, my biggest complaint of the weekend was that. And then Talbert flies out to center. So that's in the books now. That's 2 games in. State has taken a series, and now we're excited now to see what's going to happen in Game 3. And I really felt like it could have been a tight ball game on Sunday. Their best starter so far this year was going on Sunday. Kenton Deverman's a guy, we profiled him when we did our preview of the series. And this is a guy that's been really, really good. He's a freshman, and I wondered a lot about, the atmosphere, pitch on the road. There wasn't a lot of atmosphere yesterday, to be honest with you. The listed attendance is 9,410. It wasn't a fifth of that. I was disappointed with the crowd. It really was. But let's go through it real quick here. State goes right to work in this ball game. Again, Gerangelo on the hill is going to be one of the best Sunday starters in the country, unless we have to move him up. But we've seen the maturation of Gerangelo Sanji right in front of us. But we walk the leadoff guy, but then we get right out of it, right? And in bottom of 1, you needed a big inning like this, especially in a game like this where they've got an arm on the hill they believe in, and you don't want to let them hang around in a scoreless ball game or a 1-run ball game and start giving them hope. So after the pop-up from Larry, Marshawn singles to center, and then DJ homers. It's 2-0. Mission accomplished, but we kept tacking on here. Heinzen grounds out to second, down singles to the right side, starting in left field for the second consecutive day in place of Bryce Chance. Coulter walks, the first of 4 walks in the game for him. I noted this on Twitter. If he had walked one more time, his final at bat was a strikeout. If he'd walked one more time, he would have tied a school record set by Brad Winkler in 1981, 5 walks in a game. But Kohler walks there, and kind of gets crazy here. But Isaac hits the home run there, and dead center field. It got out. It's 5-0, and to be honest with you, for those of us that were at Duty Noble Field, it felt like the game was over. It really did. The way that, even though the first inning, low walks the leadoff guy, you just kind of felt like this freshman wasn't going to be able to get us out. And give him credit, he hung in there for a long time. Lowe goes back out there and gives up an infield single. It's one of those things that happened, just part of the deal, nobody's fault. And then gets the next 3 with no issue. Bottom of second, really nothing going for Mississippi State. Top of third. We hit a guy, and then we get we have a strikeout, we hit a guy, and we get out of it. So it's like there's a little traffic on the bases in every inning, but it's like only one guy's reaching. That's one way to avoid the big inning. State a golden opportunity here in the third to really blow this thing open, and we don't. Downs singles to left. Kohler walks again, recurring theme there. And then Isaac reaches on the fielder's choice. They call Kohler out at second, and it appeared in live action that he beat it. When they showed the replay, I think the right call was made here. I know a lot of our fans disagreed, but what we saw in the press box, it looked like he beat him by just a beat. And then they hit Johnny Long, and they end up calling him back. We review all this, and then ultimately he hits into a double play. So again, a chance for State here to really get some extension in the game, and we ground into a double play. That happened a couple times over the weekend, for sure. Evansville finally gets on the board in the fourth. Fershiro strikes out looking. Then McGinnis singles to left. Wagner singles to the right side. So back-to-back singles. We get Talbert looking, so 2 outs, ready to get out of this. And then Rumsey gets one up into the wind. It felt like Dakota was under it for about 10 seconds. And the thing just kept drifting and drifting and drifting and drifting. And it found the Ackerson Plaza for a 3-run home run. We walk Wilkie and get out of that. But it's 5-3, and you start thinking, okay, their dugout has been quiet for 2 days. They're chirping again. And State does what good teams do. We answer. Cup singles to right. Larry fouls out, and then Cup, they try to pick him off there, and they throw it crazy. And he goes all the way around to third. Rashawn singles to right. Cup scores, makes it a 6-3 ball game. Nothing doing after that, even though they intentionally walk Jordan again 3 times yesterday. All right, top of 5, Lowe is just rolling 1, 2, 3. Bottom of 5, State again begins to kind of separate here. Right, we were up 5-0. By the end of this inning, we're up 5 runs again. Kohler walks, a recurring theme. Isaac singles to left, and then we get the sack bunt down. So we got 2 guys on. I'm always in favor of that. Anytime that you can put them in a situation where they got to defend that, you take away a force everywhere at first. It's a great situation. But then they make a big pitch here, and Cup strikes out swinging. You think, you know what, we're going to waste this golden opportunity. But instead, Amani Larry with the first big hit he's had in a while, singles to left center, both runs score. It's now an 8-3 ball game. They eventually get out of it, and that's the end of the day for Deverman. That I thought was good. I didn't think he was great. I thought we were ready to play. We clearly had a good scout on him. He didn't fool us much. Top of 6, not much going here for them. Again, traffic on the bases, but nobody comes around to score without the benefit of a home run. Bottom of 6, again, State just continues to work here. And they've changed pitchers. They're struggling to throw strikes. Hines grounds out to second on a 2-0 count. They walk Downs and walk Kohler. Stop me if you've heard that before. Isaac singles to left field. Now the bases are loaded. And again, we've been in this situation a couple times on the weekend. And here we go. Do we need the big hit? Johnny Long just kind of hits a little nubber out there, and they're able to get the force. Initially, I had my head down when the pitch was thrown. I thought he bunted it. I really did. I thought, what are we doing bunt when the bases loaded? But it wasn't. It was basically a swinging bunt. They get him. So again, 2 out hitting, right? Here we are. And it's Dylan Cup, the freshman. Singles to right center. Couple runs score. It's 10-3. Inning ends with a ground out from Amani Larry. But again, it's 10-3 here, and you're thinking this game is over. It is. We bring in Max Miller to make his Bulldog debut, and he walks the leadoff hitter, Schallenberger. They don't wait around. They bring in Cam Schulke, who we hadn't seen in a while. I hadn't seen him all week. Gets a ground out, and then there's another ground out there where the only play is to second. We couldn't turn 2, and then Fershiro grounds out to third. All right, bottom of 7, again, a chance for us to do some things here. They intentionally walk DJ with the bases empty. Hines flies out. Chance walks, put Chance in as a pinch hitter. He walks, and Kohler strikes out swinging. That's his final at bat of the game. Again, I know you take 2 called strikes. You got to protect the plate, but almost had some school history, Logan. All right, top of 8. O'Brien goes to center. Chance goes out there to left. They go 1, 2, 3 in the inning. Bottom of 8. State puts this thing away. 10-run rule was in effect, and we put it to work. O'Brien in his first Bulldog at bat walks and still second, and then goes to third on a wild pitch. That's pretty productive. Long walks and then cup doubles to right field. Again, run scores, and then Ethan Pulliam gets in the game, grounds out to short, but the run scores, and there's a wild pitch, and that's your ball game, 13-3. 13-3. Great effort again from all 3 of our starting pitchers this weekend, and that matters. It does. I mean, how many times have we seen it? You can't get quality starts. You have to burn your bullpen early in a weekend. That's how you win weekends, is get a quality start on Friday and Saturday. But Durangelo goes 6 innings, and Cam Schulke the final 2. But Durangelo, 97 pitches, and lived. So that's your weekend. And Bulldogs stay hot. And now we get ready to head down to Biloxi. And let's take a few minutes and kind of talk about South Alabama for just a couple minutes. The Jaguars are off to a good start. I don't know if you've kept up with them at all, but they are 11-5 on the season. They opened up narrow win over North Alabama 3-2, and then they get Lamar 7-1. They have a weekend series there, 4 games, I guess. They opened up with a invitational at their place. They get Southern Indiana 5-3 and 11-0 and 7. So 4-0 start turns into a 6-0 start when they take down Southeastern Louisiana, who's a pretty good mid-major team, 8-1. And then they get Jacksonville State 8-6 to open up the weekend series against JSU. And then they lose the middle game and then rebound to win the series finale 11-1. Midweek game against Nicholls State, 11-10 is the final in 10 innings down there. And UNC Wilmington comes in that weekend, and the Jags take 2 of 3. They lose the opener 4-1 and then bounce back to win the next 2, but all very competitive games with UNC Wilmington. Midweek game last week, they lose to New Orleans in Mobile 7-5. The weekend was not a con one to them. They do win the opener Friday at Nebraska 11-3, and then get shelled in the last 2 games 13-2 and 12-7. So, again, a good start and a step up in competition, but midweek games have not really been a strong point for them so far. But they are 10-3 at home and 1-2 away from Stanky Field. So that'll be interesting, too. And, of course, Mississippi State, the home game down there. But looking at some numbers here, I have no clue who they're going to start. But, as a team, they're hitting 260. They have 3 regulars that are hitting above 300. That's Ethan Melton. Leads them with a 340 batting average, and then Brennan Holt at 316 and Lucas Ismaili 310. But outside of that, it's been interesting. Now, they do want to run the bases, guys. Just so you know, 39 stolen base attempts on the year, but they've been thrown out a dozen times. Teams haven't run as well against them. Well, I guess they've run well, just haven't run as frequently, 13 of 15 in stolen base attempts. But, power numbers are not great. Ours aren't either. But 16 home runs for them. They've only allowed 11, though, and some of that probably has to do with quality of competition. But they have done a pretty good job of keeping the ball in the yard. As a staff, on the pitching side of things, real quickly here, team ERA is 4.66. Now, we won't see their weekend guys, obviously, this week on Tuesday, because they're going to be getting ready to play some other guys this weekend. Because they got Carson Swilling and Cam Hill kind of leading the staff right now. And that's kind of pulled that team ERA down a little bit. But on the midweek, I guess we could see Leaf more. He's made 1 start on the year with a 5.79 ERA. He is 2-0. Picked up a win in relief. But they are a team that does allow some hits there. A little bit less than a hit per inning. But, you look at the strikeout numbers here, 143 strikeouts, but also 79 walks. So it's right there 2-1. This is a team that will give you that free base if you need it. And so, again, I expect State to win the ball game. Now, when we come back Wednesday morning, we'll preview the UNO game. But, yeah, we're going to have to play ball tomorrow night. Anybody thinking we can just show up with the M over S hat on and everybody's going to bow to their feet or drop to their knees, you're kidding yourself. This is a big game for them. They're going to come out ready to play. My concern is, who starts the game for us and what kind of start do we get off to? As I've mentioned last week, our starters' ERA in midweek games is 16.7. Yeah, you saw what happened last week against Southern Miss. We get down at a 4-0 hole and dig our way out of it. But, South Alabama is a team, too. I wouldn't say they're as good as Southern Miss, but they're a really good team. And we can ill afford to, be out there chasing the game early. So we need to get a quality start. I have no clue who's pitching. But, hopefully we'll have a preview for you in the morning over at genespage.com. Hopefully we'll have that information by then. All right, time for today's top 10 list. As always, brought to you by closewithblair.com. That's CLOSE with Blair, BLAIR.com. Have you always dreamed of having a game day condo? Right? To have a place up here, maybe not some big expensive property. Maybe you just want a condo. It's a place to kind of keep your stuff, a place to lay your head. You come up here and spend all weekend rather than, spending a fortune on hotel rooms, right? You know how that stuff works, man. And so maybe that's what you thought, well, let's get a game day condo and we retire. Maybe we'll retire to the Golden Triangle and just live in Starkville. Well, Blair can help that dream become a reality for you. Whether you're looking to buy a home or buy a second home, a place here in town. Yeah. Give Blair a text or call today at 601-500-2344. Again, 601-500-2344. Blair is a Mississippi State guy through and through, a season ticket holder in multiple sports, and has been in the mortgage industry for 23 years. The last 3 years have seen him ranked top 1% close ratio in the country. Recently made the move to Priority One Mortgage. The same level of service follows him over there. And the reality of it is this. Your mortgage is too important to entrust in the hands of somebody that doesn't have the know-how to get you to the closing table. Not to mention there's some people out there that will close at all costs and they put you in a bad loan. That's not the case with Blair Chandler. Give him a call or text today. You'll be glad you did. And let him know you heard about him on the show. We've had several Boneyard listeners that have closed loans with Blair. And you can check out all the services available to you at closewithblair.com. All right. You know what today is? Do you? Do you really know what today is? You know the date. And if you know the date, then the date itself is kind of a tidbit. As Dr. Hunter Butler, MD, says, let's celebrate 3/11 Day. That's right. So we're going to do 3/11 today. Now, you may remember that when 311 hit the scene, they were kind of considered kind of a new metal band. What's interesting about them is the diversity in their sound. They're really kind of a rock reggae band, but they have kind of some alternative rock influence. And so they have a huge following, even though they haven't had a ton of commercial success. They sell a bunch of records, but they're not necessarily celebrated by the record industry. They have kind of done things their own way. Even work with Bob Rock on some projects and things like that. But it's interesting. 311 is still around, and I'm sure somewhere tonight they'll be doing a show, for somebody for 311 Day. So we're going to celebrate 311 Day with our 311 Top 10 list as requested by the good doctor. All right, number 10, off the Universal Pulse album. I really like this one. I think this was probably the only official single. But it's Sunset in July. Really, really cool vibe to this one. I don't know what the kind of the story behind it, but from the very beginning, I love the opening of this one, and it kind of sustains you throughout. Right? It's a song most of you don't know, but I think it's something you'd really appreciate. All right, number 9 on our list from the From Chaos album is You Wouldn't Believe. And if you're unfamiliar with this one, I think you would dig it. It's a little bit low on our list, but it's certainly a song that I think that, you probably have heard or seen before, but maybe you just can't place it. All right, number 8 on our list is kind of more on the alternative rock vibe. I like it a lot. It's called Flowing. It's not good enough to be in our top 5, but certainly worthy of inclusion in our top 10. Flowing is one of those songs, too, that probably appeals more to the rock fan than the reggae fan, because there's a lot of reggae vibe in 311 music. Again, it's a very eclectic taste, for sure. All right, number 7, it's Don't Tread on Me. No, it's not the cover of the Damn Yankee song. It's their own original one, but one that's, again, worthy of inclusion. I think you'll dig this one. Very straightforward song, no doubt about it. All right, number 6, back to their debut. The album is called Music, and the single from that album is Do You Right. We could have some fun with that, couldn't we? But yeah, so the debut album, which just kind of got out there and kind of got people going, and then when they had their self-titled release, they went and kind of repackaged some of those songs, and this is one of them. But it dates back to the infancy of the band. All right, from the Transistor album, number 5 is Beautiful Disaster. Not to be confused with a lot of other songs of a similar title. This is one that is kind of a fan favorite. They always play it live. It's always on the set list. And if you think about relationship, we've all had these moments in our lives where maybe we were with somebody and had some good times and some bad times, and it ended up not ending well. And the thing that I've learned about love and life is when things don't end well, they typically don't end. Or maybe that's the wrong way to say it. And you would think as a writer, I'd get that right. If things don't end badly, they typically don't end. Right, there we go. Things end well, they don't end. They end badly, they do. But Beautiful Disaster, maybe I can get that out now. Beautiful Disaster, number 5. All right, I think the final 4 songs are songs that just about everybody in my generation that is from the alt-rock nation will recognize. And we may not agree on the order, and that's okay. It's amazing to me what a huge following this band has. I mean, you'd think they're kind of on the underground. I think they dig it that way. Just kind of keep it to themselves. But number 4, released back in 1999, really after the heyday of 311, in the eyes of MTV anyway, it's come original. And again, it's got some reggae vibe to it. It's a super, super, super cool song. And, it's really just kind of about exactly what the title says, come original. You could do something of your own. That's the thing about 311 you got to give them a lot of credit for. They've been true to themselves since the very beginning. All right, number 3, and I get the feeling I'm probably going to hurt some people's feelings with this one. It's Amber. And I know many of you are saying, Steve, that should be number 1. I don't agree, and it's my list, right? Number 3, Amber, that's the color of your energy, baby. Really cool song, got a lot of vibe to it, and 311's a band too. It's big advocate for for marijuana use and things like that, and so this kind of fits that whole vibe, right? Everything they do, the whole reggae style stuff, it's just kind of who they are and what they're about. This song, I think, is kind of indicative of that. The final 2, and I think you probably know, since Amber's not number 1, you probably know which direction that I'm headed. Number 2 is All Mixed Up. I absolutely love this song. I have from the beginning. And to be honest with you, had they had more stuff like All Mixed Up in our number 1 song, I would probably have been a bigger fan. That's not to be judgy or to be like some snob about music. It's just the rock and reggae thing just doesn't work for me. It may for you. It works for thousands of people that go pack out venues to see 311. I think on 311 Day last year, they played in front of 10,000 people. It's nuts. It's nuts. It is. But All Mixed Up, great, great, great song. And there were a lot of people, too. When Limp Bizkit and 311 both came out, people kind of wanted to lump them in together. Because 311 and some of their tracks have like a DJ and they're scratching, and people are like, oh, they're just like Limp Bizkit. They're not at all like Limp Bizkit. There's nothing like them at all that's like Limp Bizkit. They're not similar in any way. It's true. The record companies wanted to package them that way, but it wasn't true. But number 1 for me is really my gateway song to 311. It's Down. It is for a lot of people. And I love this one, and I can hear the Limp Bizkit comparisons in this one. And that's what happens if all you ever do is watch MTV and listen to singles. You never truly know what a band is about. And that's the case here. But Down is great. I love the track, and I want to thank the good doctor for the recommendation as we celebrate 311 Day here on March 11th, 2024. It just never synced up for us before, or I just didn't think about it. So I appreciate the recommendation. If you have ideas for the top 10 list, reach out, let us know. We may just do them here on the show, and we'll even give you credit if you want it. It's true. Roy is the best way to get a hold of me for this. I do handle my own social media stuff because I'm not weird. But in addition to that, I don't always get my notifications. There are times that stuff pops up and things get busy and things get pushed down. And I had to apologize to somebody earlier today that was trying to reach me about something somewhat important in relation to a recruit out there and say, I'm sorry, I'm just not seeing this. And you guys live the same life I do, right? You just may not get as many notifications. So hit Roy up at Dogmatic67 on Twitter. That's DAWGMATIC67. And let him know, and he'll put you on the list. Yeah, he will. He always sends me a screenshot. He'll text it to me. And no, I'm not giving you my phone number. Too many people have it already. I'm considering changing it. But all that I understood, you can find our great list over on Spotify, too, on that same handle, Dogmatic67. I'm on all forms of social media at Scout Steve R. And that's all of them. It's true. And when a new platform comes along, I go grab it just in case it takes off. Because I don't want somebody to have my username on the platform. It's true. Those are my feelings. Your feelings may differ. But it's good to kind of have a flashback a little bit of nostalgia with 311 because there were so many of us, of course, that was, the 90s were an important part of things for us, right? We were becoming adults for the first time, the only time, I guess. But we were becoming adults and we were out, kind of making things happen themselves. And I can tell you one of the coolest moments of independence that you ever have. And a friend of mine shared this with me after he had his first apartment. We were just teenagers back then. It's when your good friend and host was on the straight and narrow. And he goes, man, you got to get this stuff together, man. You're kind of starting life over. And you got to get a place over here by me. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. I think I'm going to move to Hattiesburg. And he's like, one of the coolest things, though, is like when you walk in after a day's work and you turn that light switch on. That light switch came on because I earned the money to pay that bill. That light switch is on because of me. And I walk in that refrigerator and I grab something to eat. That food's there because of me. And nobody did that for me. Nobody paid for anything. I'm working my way into life. And that was a very, very profound moment for me because I was a person, I won't say I had a lot given to me, but I always had people that were willing to bail me out, right, until I didn't. But that's a strong moment of independence. It's like, and I give Ani a lot of credit too, man. It's like as soon as he graduated college and moved to his apartment in Jonesboro, Arkansas, I helped pay his deposits and got him set up. And the next month I was going to give him some money. And he goes, I think I'm good. And he hadn't asked me for a dime ever since. It's a cool thing. Real quickly, a little aside. I don't think I've shared this with you. If you've read When the Bottom Falls, you've read this. But it kind of reminds me of when my dad was a kid. And I heard this story from him and many of his siblings. And it's interesting, now they've gotten a little bit older, their recollections of the story are not quite as good. But it burned a bit of a imprint in my memory. So my dad told me on his 12th birthday, he was given a Foot Locker. His dad bought him a Foot Locker. And this is a family that slept through to a bed and had a dairy farm out there on Augusta Road in Ellisville, Mississippi. And he goes, hey, this is your Foot Locker. You keep all your stuff in here. And I said, so Daddy, that's where you kept your toys? He looked at me and laughed. He goes, son, there weren't any toys. But you keep all your clothes, your belongings in here. And he goes, when you turn 18, that you can go down to Jones and start going to college. If you want to go to Mississippi State, we'll get that worked out too. You can join the military or you can go to work. He goes, but either way, when you turn 18, you and your Foot Locker are leaving. And I think there's some parts of our society that could probably embrace more of that, right? To teach young people to have a sense of independence and not such a sense of reliance. You're like, well, I always want to be there for my kids. You can be there for them and also not pay the freight. Not everybody needs to go to Turks and Caicos for spring break. I know that's a weird thing. Right, I'm the biggest spring break trip that I think I ever took. We went down to Gulfport. Yeah, we went down to Gulfport, and I spent a day one time at Club La Vila. It's true, but I turned out okay. I didn't grow up hating my family because I didn't get to go to the Bahamas or something for spring break. That's just me. And you're like, well, Steve, I want to spoil my kids, and I think that's exactly what you're doing. I hate to sound judgmental. But my kids are free to go wherever they can afford to take themselves. It's true. And every so often they hit me up and say, hey, we're going down to Hang Out Fest, Dad. Can you help us a little bit with this? I'm willing to do that because they don't ask very often because they know not to. It's like, hey, well, I'm going to go to this. I'm going to this concert. Can you pay for this? Well, I can, but I choose not to. Because I'm not going to pay for all your entertainment. It's not like if you're starving, I'll make sure you get fed. Yeah, I'm not going to let your car get repossessed. But I'm not going to pay for you to go see Ariana Grande in Atlanta or in Fort Lauderdale. I'm not going to pay for your flight. That's not how life works. At least not in my house. It may work that way in your house. But I think teaching self-reliance is a very important lesson for young people to have. You don't have to go to everything. It's okay to miss things every now and again. I miss stuff all the time because what we're doing here matters most, right? You don't think, guys, I've had major recording acts that have asked me to go out and like go on the road with them and even write a book to document like the trip. And I think it's pretty thin soup, but I think it'd be a fun experience. But you know what? I can't, what am I going to do? I got these dogs to take care of. I got a new business to handle. I got a wife. I got kids and grandkids. Be out there riding around with some 80s hair metal act for 3 months. No telling what'll happen. I might relapse, right? You don't ever know what would happen. And so you got to think about those things. I don't feel like that I'm missing anything. And maybe you're different. I don't know. Danny used to say when I was young that I always had this constant need to be entertained. And I guess I've grown out of that. But I do like getting in the car, ride down the road, listen to some good tunes, and talking to friends, or sitting around a campfire, just kind of chilling back and enjoying life, going to ball games, talking sports to people. I love all that stuff too. But I don't spend my time focused on all the things that I think I'm missing, because I don't think I'm missing anything. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. Be sure and check them out next time you're in town. Go by and see their smiling faces. They will be more than eager to serve you and treat you like family, because in their minds you are family. They've done such a great job serving this great fan base for many, many years. It's true. A great place to work. It's one of the reasons you see so many of the same faces there, because they know how to get things done. Simple as that. So if you're looking for Mississippi State merchandise, go by and see them. If you can't make it to town, let me encourage you to visit them on the World Wide Web, and you can support a Starkville business through the glory of the internet. CampusBookmart.net. You can peruse their fine selections there. You should be following them on all forms of social media so you can kind of stay up to date with all the new offerings available to you at Campus Bookmart, and they are plentiful. But CampusBookmart.net, promo code BSR. That's your phrase that pays. For being a loyal Boneyard listener, I get you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than 75 bones, absolutely incomplete. Again, that's CampusBookmart.net, promo code BSR. All right, I was bummed, like all of you. I wasn't disappointed in our team by any stretch of the imagination. I was disappointed in the result. I thought we played really well. I thought we had opportunities to fade, and we didn't. As the Mississippi State men's basketball team kind of finishes up the year, a little bit of a bummer. We really needed to get to 20 wins in the regular season. But as I shared earlier, the latest projections suggest that if we win against LSU, we are in the NCAA tournament. Or as Ben Howland used to say, the NC2A tournament. It's phenomenal, right, Ben? But, it wasn't a phenomenal result. But, man, I tell you what, it was such a great effort. And not that we believe in moral victories by any stretch of the imagination. It's a game I feel like we should have won. It's a team that I feel like, we're better than them. But you know what, they're 25-6, and they've beaten us twice. So it's not an opinion poll. The results suggest that South Carolina is a little bit better than Mississippi State. Maybe not as good as the records indicate, but the head-to-head competition certainly favors them. They've won. It was a one-point game at the half. And State battles and battles and battles and battles and battles in this game. And again, we had so many opportunities. It just felt like, this thing's it's gonna get away from us. It's how it felt. But our players, our coaches, refused to go away. Refused. When you look up there and it's, they're up 7. You're like, we got to find a way here. Got to find a way. Thought Deshaun Davis gave us good minutes off the bench there, especially during that big run. And next thing you know, you look up, we pulled even. And right after we pull even, they stretch it back out just a little bit. It's a 7-point game again. It's like every time we make a run, they'd respond. Basketball obviously is a game of runs. And, with under 9 minutes to play, we're right back where we were 6 minutes earlier. But again, State wouldn't go away. Wouldn't go away. We cut it down to 2. They take it back out to 6. We pull even on a Josh Hubbard 3 with 3:13 to play. And at this point, I turned to Mike Nemeth and I said, you know what? We're going to win this basketball game. We're going to figure it out. We have scratched and clawed and fought our way back to even at home. Chris Jansen's staff's going to get us home. And what do you know? we get a stop, have a chance to take the lead here and make some things happen. And guys, it seemed like forever before anybody else scored. We had plenty of opportunities here. Plenty of opportunities here. Tulu takes it inside, and then B.J. Mag blocks the shot. Transfer from Wofford. We have a chance to get a shot up. We end up turning it over, and they get loose on the other end. It's a fast break dunk with 1:30 to go, and it's an and one. So, 3-point game. And like all of you, I'm thinking, okay, we need J-Hub to hit one. Well, it wasn't him. It's DJ Jeffries. Goes down and hits it. And again, I'm thinking, you know what? We've survived our mistake here. Really 2 mistakes. We turned the ball over. And in addition to that, we foul on the and one. And we're even. 1:15 to go. At home, a raucous environment, senior day. We're going to find a way. Meechie Johnson misses the 3. And it's an offensive rebound that goes up and in. The shot was so bad. I'm not being critical of Meechie. It's just basketball, right? The shot was so bad. They're able to get an offensive rebound and get it back up and in. So it's a 2-point game. And then Josh Hubbard comes down and ties it. We had our chances, for sure. They ended up making a couple free throws to make it a 2-point game with 4 seconds to go. And it's crazy how this thing goes. It's like State just continued to have 9 lives throughout the game. They end up fouling Deshaun Davis because you and I both know everybody thought this was going to go to Josh. They foul Deshaun Davis. He goes to the line with 1 second left to shoot 2. Can you imagine the pressure this kid's under in a game like this? Senior day, a game that everybody's going to remember. And he gets up there and calmly knocks down both free throws. They get off a desperation 3. We're going to overtime. And again, right here, I'm just kind of reaffirming my own belief here. We're going to find a way to win this game because State is just like, we're not losing. We refuse to lose here. That's how it felt. And immediately, Meechie Johnson does what alpha dogs do. He comes out and rams home a big 3. Makes it a 3-point game. So again, we've scratched and clawed. And it's like every time that we get even, we can't stay even or we can't get that lead. They end up fouling Josh. He knocks down a couple. They take it back out to a 3-point game. Cam Matthews, a nice play there. Hub gets us to within 1, and then B.J. Mack hits a 3-point basket. So now all of a sudden, we're just around 2 minutes to go. We're down 4. But you knew there was still some maroon magic left. That's just kind of how it felt. It's like there's no way we're going to lose this game. There's no way that Tolu and these guys on senior day are going to lose this game. There's no way our crowd is going to let us lose. Josh misses the 3. However, Tolu with the offensive rebound goes up and in. It's a 2-point game here. They end up fouling Tolu and a chance to make 2 to tie it. We make 1 of 2. So now we're off kilter again, right? Had a chance to be even. And then B.J. Mack, who played exceptionally well for South Carolina, takes it back out to a 3-point game. And again, you start thinking, we're in trouble here. We're in trouble. Well, we go to Hubbard, as we should, and there's a foul. So Josh is going to go to the line and shoot 3. And I thought there's nobody on this team I'd rather have at the line than Josh Hubbard. He makes the first 2, misses the 3rd. And at that point, the game was over. We all know it. It became a free throw shooting competition down the end, and we didn't get a chance to participate. And we lose 93-89. Not good. But, hey, part of the deal. We played well enough to win, and just they were a little bit better. That's just the reality of it. I'm not going to talk poorly of our team. I thought our effort was amazing, and our character was outstanding. Thought the coaches put us in a good situation. And we lost to a team that's a little bit better than us. I mean, that's the reality of it. It's difficult for me to admit that because I really didn't think South Carolina would be as good as they've been. They've been outstanding. They have been. But I think we have certainly validated the belief that we are an NCAA tournament team. And I think the committee will agree with us, provided we win a game in a tournament. But, give credit to South Carolina. Four scorers in double figures. B.J. Mack leads the team with 25. I really thought that Tolu could have a big game here against these guys. I did. Of course, B.J. Mack is not the typical matchup. They'll spot him up outside. Josh Hubbard, again, outstanding. 28 points, 4 of 10 from beyond the arc, 10 of 11 from the free throw line. That makes it even worse a little bit, doesn't it? They only missed that one. Cam Matthews with 18 points. 11 rebounds for him. Tolu with 10 and 14. It's a good game for Tolu, not a dominant game. But Deshaun Davis comes out and scores 16. Of course, none bigger than those two. He made it there at the end. Shaquille Moore with just 2. Jimmy Bell with a pair. Sean Jones did not score. Keyshawn Murphy did not score. And so we pretty much kind of rode the horses. Shaquille and Sean both had some minutes out there in the rotation. But, we shoot 50%, lose a ball game, And 8 of 20 from beyond the arc. And we weren't bad at the free throw line. We shoot 76%. 19 of 25 in the game. But, again, you look ahead now to the SEC tournament. Eager for that to get going. It's so much fun. It's not just the March Madness. The conference tournaments are fun to watch, too. I know we got a lot of people out there that college basketball is their favorite sport. And, hey, great. There have been times, I think, at all of us at some points, we've had another sport to sustain us over the years, right? When football wasn't been great, we've had baseball and at times men's basketball to count on. Those Stansbury years were a lot of fun. But right now, we're all pulling in the same direction. And, Justin Frommer and others will be headed up to Nashville. It all gets underway Wednesday night. And we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about this because we're not going to play until Thursday. But it opens up Arkansas and Vanderbilt is your 6 p.m. game, Central. And then Georgia, Missouri will follow. And then State's going to take on LSU at noon on Thursday. So we'll spend some time on Wednesday kind of breaking down the matchup. And, we had such a great game against LSU in Baton Rouge. It'll be interesting to see what they do defensively against Josh Hubbard this time out. Very, very interesting to see how they handle that. And then provided that we win, and I believe we shall, we will we'll move on and then have the opportunity, of course, to continue playing. That's the most important thing, right? The longer you play, the better things are. It's not some hot take. You don't need me to tell you that. But in the event that we win, we will face Tennessee with Connect, the SEC Player of the Year. He may be the National Player of the Year in round 2. Now, we've beaten them before. I'm sure they want to size us up again. And again, that game is noon Central. So we're going to play Thursday at noon and expect to play Friday at noon. A lot to feel good about. But look at the rest of the bracket here. Vanderbilt and Arkansas, the winner of that game, plays South Carolina. The winner of that game would play Auburn, who is your 4 seed. Game number 5 has Ole Miss versus Texas A&M. Of course, Texas A&M just shellacked Ole Miss. The winner of that game plays Kentucky. We talked about Missouri, Georgia. The winner of that game plays Florida. And then the winner of that game would play Alabama. So a lot of Southeastern Conference basketball on tap here this week. And again, the fun all starts on Wednesday. For those of you that are making the trip up there, best of luck to you. Have a good time. Be safe. Have a good time. Don't forget where you're from, what you're about. Let's just be sure we just kind of settle in and enjoy, hopefully, wouldn't it be great if we had 3 days of basketball? But I think Mississippi State, again, I agree with the projections. You beat LSU. I don't think you have anything to worry about. You lose to LSU, I think you have something to worry about. I do. Because you never know how the rest of these bid stewards and conference tournaments are going to go, right? You just never know. Somebody gets hot over one weekend and finds a way that a team that's not expected to make the tournament gets the automatic bid. Well, it doesn't knock out, the regular season champion in a major conference. So there's a lot of things that could happen. The bottom line is we just need to beat LSU. And we certainly can. We certainly need to. All right, looking ahead to our final segment of the show, brought to you by the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Just Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse. You probably thought, Steve, I hear you talking about this. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, if you're bringing a large group of people to Starkville, this is the place to stay. This is the place to stay. Yeah, you can all go get a whole bunch of hotel rooms, but more times than not, you know what happens. Hey, we're all going to meet in Starkville for the weekend. And then so-and-so can't get a room here, and so-on gets an Airbnb in West Point. So everybody's scattered. So then all of a sudden you got to kind of curtail your fun a little bit because everybody's got to drive home, and somebody doesn't feel well, and you know how that works, right? Wouldn't it be better if everybody's under one roof? And that way, if somebody didn't feel well, they could go on to bed and you could stay there and hang with your friends. Right? You don't have to worry about driving home. You're already there, right? They got that wet bar for you. You can fill that very expansive kitchen with some adult beverages if you want. Maybe that's not even your thing. Maybe you just want to have everybody together. Maybe it's a work retreat. Maybe it's a ball game weekend. I don't know your needs, but I know that they can be fulfilled by the folks at Stark Vegas Clubhouse. And again, you can Google it and check out their Facebook page and see all the great things. All the amenities available to you, that great fire pit, that huge back porch area, which is absolutely amazing. 5 bedrooms, got a couple baths. The bottom line is this. 5 minutes from campus, there's no better place to bring a large group. And Grandma, wouldn't it be great to have all the kids and all the grandkids under one roof? That way you can just spoil them all you want to. If mom and dad want to go to bed early, you can sit up with the kids. You can get up early with them, let mom and dad sleep in. I don't know. Wouldn't it be nice to have everybody under one roof when you guys are coming to Starkville to celebrate Mississippi State or whatever you're doing? Maybe it's a bridal shower. Maybe it's a bachelor's party. I don't know. But Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse, and if you book through the Evolve website, I can save you 10%. It's BSR10. Stark Vegas Clubhouse, the only place to stay for a large group when you come to Starkville. All right, in the final moments we have left, we talk about SEC play is coming up in baseball. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because you can't tell a lot about these teams based on non-conference play. No matter what we tell ourselves, how many times have we been in a position before where we just absolutely just kill it in non-conference? You get the SEC play, you never know. We're going to see some sure enough war horses, right, on Friday nights in the SEC this year. Probably it's kind of the return of the Friday night starter. It's been a while we haven't had that. I do want to take some time to congratulate Dakota Jordan, of course, for being the SEC co-player of the week. All due respect to Charlie Condon. He didn't hit 4 home runs in 4 consecutive games. He is the nation's leader in home runs. I get it. But he's a dude, no doubt. But Dakota Jordan and Charlie Condon share the co-offensive player of the week. It's a big deal, and you'd expect that. You'd expect it. Dakota Jordan, .692 average for the week to go along with a .778 on-base percentage, 4 home runs, 2 doubles, drove in 13 runs. State goes 4-0 on the week. Your pitcher of the week, not connected to us, but Devin Futrell from Vanderbilt. Freshman of the week, Dean Curley from Tennessee. I'm looking forward to Dylan Cupp's name being on that list. But that's your college baseball awards. But again, kind of looking at kind of where we stand as we get ready to go into really the last week of true non-conference play, because there's no more non-conference weekend series for us. There'll be some midweek games, obviously, but some interesting results over the weekend. Again, Mississippi State now has won 9 games in a row, and you may not be aware of this, but State now is tied for the second longest winning streak, active winning streak in the Southeastern Conference. And Texas A&M has won every game. They're 16-0, and we head down there in 2 weeks. I look forward to going. Bluebell Park is interesting. They're letting it get a little bit antiquated. They really need to put some money in that place. They do. But they've won 16. Arkansas, Vanderbilt, and Mississippi State have all won 9 in a row. And strike up the Rebels. They're starting to play a little better too. They won 6 in a row. But again, looking over this, Georgia's 16-1 overall, and of course you got one of the leading hitters in the country. Tennessee, and I feel bad for those Tennessee writers because you're going to have to deal with this extra 1 the entire year as Tennessee has a tie. They're 15-1-1. That's not going to be the difference in making the tournament. It's just going to make it more complicated to have to write those columns. Vanderbilt's 14-3. They had, kind of like us, they had some games early they wish they had back. Kentucky 13-3 had a difficult weekend with Kennesaw State. South Carolina 13-3, they had a nice weekend. Swept their weekend series. Florida's 10-5. And I don't know that enough people are talking about this. I really don't. And now, Sully kind of understands, too, when you get into SEC play, you got to spend your non-conference to figure out who you can trust. And Florida's a team, obviously, that always comes in highly rated. But they're 10-5. Why is nobody trashing them? Missouri's 8-8. They've won 2 in a row, so they're up from 6 and 8. It's tough all over, man. We mentioned Texas A&M. Alabama 15 and 1. They've won their last 4. LSU 14 and 2. They lost the game on Sunday to Xavier 2-1. And if you look at their schedule as of late, they have not necessarily set the woods on fire. Now we're going to, at least offensively, they're going to throw it. But we'll preview the LSU series on Friday. But that's an offensive park down there. And here as of late, they haven't been nearly as good offensively. And even their own fans are kind of saying, we'll see. They're kind of limping into this thing here. It's like they're 14 and 2, Steve. Yeah, I get it. But they have not been the offensive juggernaut that a lot of people expected. I expected them to take a little bit of a step back offensively this year. But it's been difficult. And I think the weather has something to do with that. You don't want to play LSU in April or May down at Alex Box. You just don't. I know the ball carries for you too, but they're very comfortable playing in front of their home fans, as they should be. LSU, one of the most prestigious baseball programs in the history of college baseball. And all that really kind of came to be under Skip Bertman. They had one NCAA tournament appearance before Skip Bertman showed up in Baton Rouge. Maybe you didn't know that. He is the godfather of LSU baseball. Even if he hadn't won all those national championships, he's the guy that made LSU fans care about baseball. Arkansas 13 and 2, Auburn 12 and 3. Of course, they drop a ball game over the weekend to Austin Peay. Nearly dropped 2. Auburn had to walk Austin Peay off in the 9th in game 1. Then Austin Peay trounced them in game 2, and then Auburn bounces back with a big win on Sunday. And of course, Mississippi State, as you guys know, 12 and 4. And Ole Miss 12 and 5. So you look up now and you say, hey, just about everybody's got double-digit wins now. And you start looking at the entire conference. Florida and Missouri, actually the 2 worst teams in the conference right now from a winning percentage standpoint. Maybe you didn't know. But there's still going to be somebody to vote for Florida. You better believe it. You better believe it. But it's going to be an interesting week. And real quickly, just kind of looking ahead here, we look forward to seeing you all down in Biloxi. And really excited to get down there. And the team is too. There's so much of that I don't think that our maybe our casual fans appreciate. I can tell you our team loves being able to go down to Pearl and to go down to Biloxi, get out of town a little bit, right? But in addition to that too, there's a lot of fans down there that maybe can't make a midweek game up here. And the weekends are just absolutely so frenetic, right? It's so difficult. It's so difficult for our players to really have time to get out and socialize because, they got to play ball games, right? And so this is a cool thing that we take the show on the road and then they get the opportunity to maybe see some people they don't ordinarily see and spend a little time after the game with everybody. But as we get kind of looking ahead to the weekend, we'll pick it this weekend. And let me say again for the record, I hate this new SECsports.com website. It's so unbelievably non-user-friendly. It was fine the way it was. I mean, I can understand making some pictures, but like the way this schedule thing works is just so – it's like I'm back on AOL or something. But Texas A&M will take on Florida this weekend. That'll be interesting because Florida can really pitch it. A&M, their non-conference schedule, not great, but they've won every game. That's what you're supposed to do. Georgia and Kentucky. Nick and those guys, last year I really thought Kentucky had a chance to be a tournament team. I don't know that I feel that way this year. They were a veteran team last year. They had some guys that really competed on the mound. But Georgia at Kentucky, it's one of those things, too, you start thinking about the location and the weather. We went up there for that first weekend. Do you remember, for those of you that went, the few of us that went, do you remember how frigid it was up there? I remember making a call to John Cole, and I said, I don't think Kentucky should ever host the first weekend. All due respect to them. And John says, well, is it fair that Florida gets to host the last weekend? Well, yeah, maybe you got a point there. But Georgia at Kentucky, we may find out something interesting about Georgia. Auburn's at Vanderbilt. That'll be a great series there. I'm not as sold on Auburn as some other people are. They're a really good team. I'm just not sure about Auburn. Tennessee's at Alabama. That's interesting there. I like Tennessee. The Alabama Park is not like Alex Box, but it is it's an offensive ballpark, especially this time of year with the winds there. It's like I remember we played some games there early in SEC play, and the winds we're kind of pushing out to right. I don't know what the wind patterns look like for this weekend, but Tennessee can really swing it. Of course, LSU is here. Missouri's at Arkansas. So Arkansas will likely be your first-place team in the Southeastern Conference this time next week. And then South Carolina goes to Ole Miss. That is an interesting series there. Because of the fact, number one, I think South Carolina is a good team, bordering on a really good team. I don't know about the pitching. And Ole Miss has been so up and down. They are playing better as of late. I expect a split there, but I think that, hey, if Ole Miss can win that series, I think it really springboards them, confidence-wise into some of the things. And if South Carolina goes in there and takes that series, and if they sweep, you think that the seat gonna get a little warm? On social media it will be. We'll see how things shake loose. But nevertheless, I look forward to seeing you all down in Biloxi. Again, we'll pack up, we'll bring the microphone, we'll get down there, and we'll record the Wednesday show from the IP. And hopefully we're celebrating a Bulldog win that morning and previewing another one. And how great would it be for us to enter this weekend series, having won 11 in a row? You never want to get ahead of yourself. We don't play the ball game, so we can speculate. But the way the team is playing right now, you feel like, hey, we got a good chance to go take both of these games. But neither of these teams are going to be pushovers. And, they're going to look at this as an RPI building opportunity, even though our RPI is not stellar at this point, because of the level of competition that we play. But RPI in March means absolutely nothing. I don't even really start paying attention to it until after tax day. So all that understood, let's look forward to seeing you guys down there in Biloxi. And if you hadn't done so, go to WinTheBottomFalls.com. You can get Win the Bottom Falls and all of my sports titles. All at one same place, right? It's just easy. Again, so Win the Bottom Falls, that's Flim Flam, Stark Villains, Alpha Dogs, and Dog Pile. And every Bulldog needs a copy of Dog Pile. All you new baseball fans, they're jumping back on the bandwagon. You need to buy one of those. And if you're looking for Stark Villains gear, you can find it at StarkVillains.com. But certainly come be a part of our Merry Band of Misfits over at GenesPage.com, the Mississippi State affiliate for 247 Sports. Until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.